Hello, good people. What's up? How is everybody doing? I believe you are all fine. I welcome you into today's episode, and I welcome you into this YouTube channel. This is me, Jamie Naftali, on the Pediatric World. The channel is all about the kids' welfare, the medical problems, and we also try finding solutions. So we talk to that mother, we talk to that caregiver, to everybody. We want to involve everybody into the management of these children while growing up. So I welcome you into today's episode. And before we proceed, if you have not subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. Subscribe so that you may become part of this wonderful family. And to that returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate. So let's go to the video of today, and it is about meningitis. Remember, in our last episode, we started on bacterial meningitis in children. I said it's a serious condition. It is a very common condition at the same time. Causes a lot of fears, a lot of worries. And why we want people to understand meningitis is so that we can be able to know it early. We can also prevent the consequences, the sequelae, which are the side effects. The consequences, it has got so many complications, very permanent ones. We said it is brain damage. So we want people to understand. So in today's episode, we want to proceed from where we left last time. And we want today to know the clinical signs and symptoms of bacterial meningitis. How do these children with meningitis present? So I'm going to say to start by saying the age above or equal to 60 days. This is around 2 months old babies with a history of fever and one of the following. So this child has got fever, hotness of the body. This is a fever plus one of the following: one, coma. Coma is the irresponsiveness. The child is just asleep, not able to respond. This is the coma. They have inability to breastfeed or to drink. Also, if child has fever plus AVPU at P or U. Remember our AVPU? This is the scale we say. It is a scale we use in children to measure the level of consciousness. So AVPU, A for alertness, V for response to voice, P response to pain, and U for unconsciousness. So if this child is at P or U, that is the child is unconscious, we say AVPU less than A. This child might be, and they have fever, this child might be having bacterial meningitis. Another sign and symptom is the stiff neck. So the neck is so stiff. When you try to fold the neck of this child this way, this chin to touch here, so it is going to be very stiff. Normally it should be very soft. The neck should be very soft. But when you try to fold and you find the rigidity, the stiffness, now this could be a sign and symptom of meningitis. They also have bulging fontanelle. Bulging fontanelle. Fontanelle is this part here, this part of the children here that normally pulsates. We normally have the anterior fontanelle. We also have the posterior fontanelle behind, but the posterior one closes early. So the anterior one is that one that pulsates. So in children with meningitis, the fontanelle is bulging. It means it is bulging. It is like this bulging. Normally we are saying it should be flat. It should be flat. Remember when you were doing diarrhea and vomiting, these children with dehydration due to diarrhea and vomiting, their fontanelle is sunken. It has gone down, it is down. But for this with meningitis, it is going to be bulging. I hope you understand. So this could be a sign of meningitis. They also have fits, the convulsions. Remember the convulsions, the tremors, if I may say it in layman. So they could also have these fits. Evidence of partial seizures. So you find a child convulsing, one side of the body is convulsing. You are able to notice. This again could be sign and symptom of meningitis. They also have feasting, neck retraction. They have deviation of the eyes. The eyes deviate. You might not be able to tell that this child is looking at you. The eyes are deviating. They have a posture, a very funny posture we call decorticate posturing. There's a way that they sit and you're folding themselves and you're able to tell that this child has a very unusual posture, and this could be a sign and symptom of meningitis. This child may have meningitis, though several other conditions may present this way. What are we saying? That there are other diseases, other conditions that may present the same as all the signs and symptoms you have mentioned. So we really want to know if this is really meningitis or is it any other illness. So then these other conditions that may present the same as meningitis, we call them differential diagnosis. So this one should be at the back of the mind. As the professional caregivers, we should be able to tell if we see all these signs we are talking about, the fevers, the corticate postures, we see these seizures. This could be many things. Many diagnoses should come into our mind, and we want to pick how will we be able to say this is meningitis and not any other. So let's first of all see those conditions that may present the same as meningitis. We are calling them the differential diagnosis. Number one is cerebral malaria. This is the severe type of malaria. Remember, if you haven't watched on malaria, please, I refer you back to the episode on malaria in children. We covered both the uncomplicated malaria and now the cerebral malaria, or the severe malaria. The cerebral malaria is the same as the severe malaria. So the children with severe malaria, if you go back, you'll be able to see again the presentations. They are going to be unconscious. They're going to have convulsions. All these things we have mentioned about meningitis. So we really want to know, is it a cerebral malaria? Another differential diagnosis or another diagnosis or condition that may present the same as meningitis. We have the TB abscess. We also have encephalitis. This is the viral infection of the brain. It could be encephalitis. It also presents the same. It could be any other severe illness causing a respiratory or circulatory failure. So this one you should be able to tell. So all these are the differential diagnoses of meningitis. Now ask yourself, which clinical signs would make you consider the diagnosis of meningitis? So after we check the list of the above, the differential diagnosis. So remember, it could be a severe malaria or any other we have mentioned. So clinically, it is difficult to distinguish between the two, especially the cerebral malaria and the meningitis. You might be able to differentiate clinically just by checking the signs and symptoms. You need to go further so that you can be able to know which is which. Hence, what is the key to diagnose the bacterial meningitis? No, it is to take good history. So as the professional caregivers, we ask the mothers on many questions. The history, we call it the history taking, that is giving us, trying to show us that this could be meningitis. We also do a thorough physical exam. We want to examine this baby. For example, we could be examining for the neck stiffness. So we try to fold the neck. We remember we said in meningitis, the neck is very stiff. It is very rigid, not soft as it should be. So what we do now, this is part of the physical exam. Now about the posture, we examine all these. On top of this, we need to do lab investigations. And particularly, we want to do something we mentioned in our last episode that diagnoses or confirms meningitis, which is the LP, the lumbar puncture. We are going to go into detail of it, how we go about it, and how we interpret the results. So we want to do all this. You've taken the good history, you've done physical exam, and also now you're doing an investigation. So in doing so, we avoid missing the diagnosis of meningitis. We avoid missing the diagnosis and its complications. Remember, we said about the mortality, the deaths, mortality being 25%. And we say 25% to 30% also have got sequelae. Of the survivors, those who survive it, they have the sequelae, the consequences of, like we said, permanent brain damage. So to avoid all this, it is good we do all this so that we may not miss the diagnosis of meningitis. So we also avoid inappropriate use of antibiotics, because imagine you saw a child with all these signs and symptoms, and you find that you just think this is meningitis. You start them on antibiotics, and in the essence, maybe this child was having cerebral malaria. You see, you treat for the wrong thing just because the presentation is the same. So we'll give unnecessary, inappropriate use of antibiotics. Remember, these antibiotics cause resistance. So this is why we really want to avoid if it's not necessary. So this is about meningitis. This is how these children with meningitis present. So it is upon us, even the mothers, now you know, now you have the knowledge. We are creating the awareness. You now know how children with meningitis present. So thank you. We are leaving it at that today. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for all those who have subscribed. I appreciate. Those who haven't, please hit on the subscribe button. Subscribe so that you may become part of us. Share these videos widely so that they may reach many people, the mothers. We want them to get help. We want them to get involved into management of these children. So thank you so much. Till next time. Bye-bye.